30 seconds.
Three main engines of Atlantis reported ready to start. T-minus 1 minute. 1 minute and counting. T-minus 45 seconds. T-minus 31 seconds. Handoff to Atlantis' onboard computers has occurred.
20, 30 seconds.
15 seconds. Range safety systems armed. Sound suppression system water activated. T-minus 10, 9, 8. Go for main engine start. 7, 6. Main engine ignition. 4, 3, 2. Zero and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis as Columbus sets sail on a voyage of science to the space station.
Houston now controlling.
Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Columbus weighs anchor from its port in Florida. Atlantis on the proper alignment, heads down, wings level for the 8.5-minute ride to orbit, taking aim on the International Space Station for docking on Saturday. 28 seconds into the flight. The three liquid fuel main engines soon will throttle back to 72% of rated performance, going in the bucket, reducing the stress on the shuttle as it breaks through the sound barrier. Atlantis 3 miles in altitude, 7 miles downrange. 50 seconds into the flight. Engines beginning to throttle back up, standing by for that call from Capcom Jim Dutton.
Atlantis, go at throttle up.
Atlantis copies, go at throttle up.
Throttle up call acknowledged by Commander Steve Frick, joined on the flight deck by Pilot Alan Poindexter, Rex Walheim, and Leland Melvin. Seated down on the middeck are Stan Love and Hans Schlegel and Leopold Aarts of the European Space Agency. Aarts hitching a ride to his new home on the International Space Station. 1 minute, 30 seconds into the flight. Atlantis already 15 miles in altitude, 16 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, traveling 2,000 miles an hour. Three good main engines, 3 good fuel cells, 3 auxiliary power units, all functioning normally. Standing by for solid rocket booster separation. Booster officer confirms good solid rocket booster separation, good staging. Guidance now converging, the onboard computers commanding the main engines to swivel, aiming Atlantis for its precise keyhole in space for main engine cutoff. And the propulsion officer reports the orbital maneuvering system engines have ignited, providing Atlantis with that extra burst of power for the next 2 minutes, assisting the shuttle and its crew on their climb to orbit. 2 minutes, 40 seconds into the flight. Atlantis 41 miles in altitude.
Atlantis copies, 2 engine tow.
That call from Capcom Jim Dutton to the crew indicating that if we lost 1 main engine right now, we would have enough energy to reach our transoceanic abort sites, but we have 3 solid main engines along with the auxiliary power units and the fuel cells. At the 3-minute mark into the flight, Atlantis 47 miles in altitude, 87 miles downrange, traveling almost 4,000 miles an hour. Atlantis flying on the singular power of its 3 liquid fuel main engines, draining 1/2 ton of fuel per second from the fuel tank. Coming up shortly on the point of negative return, where the shuttle will be too far downrange, too high in altitude to return to the launch site in the event of an engine failure, but we're flying on 3 solid main engines right now. Three minutes, 40 seconds into the flight, Atlantis 127 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, approaching the 5,000 mile an hour mark.
Atlantis, negative return.
Copies, negative return.
And the Environmental Systems Officer in Mission Control reports a good flash evaporator system providing cooling for Atlantis' avionics until the time we open the payload bay doors an hour and a half into the flight. 4 minutes, 15 seconds. 62 miles in altitude, 176 miles downrange, traveling 5,500 miles an hour. Atlantis flying straight as an arrow, speeding toward a date with the International Space Station on Saturday. With all systems looking very good, Atlantis approaching the 5-minute mark into the flight. 65 miles in altitude, 230 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, traveling 6,500 miles an hour, all systems in good shape.
Atlantis, press to ATO.
Press to ATO.
That call indicating should we lose an engine, we can make our minimal orbital cutoff targets. However, all 3 main engines continue to perform normally. 3 good auxiliary power units, 3 good fuel cells. 5.5 minutes into the flight. Atlantis 8,000 miles an hour in its velocity, 67 miles in altitude, 310 miles downrange from the Cape.
Atlantis, single engine ops 3.
Atlantis copies, single engine ops 3.
Beginning to roll to a heads-up position now. Atlantis' computers commanding the main engines to swivel. Rolling to the heads-up position provides Atlantis with more favorable communications through the tracking and data relay satellite system heading toward orbit.
Atlantis, single engine Zaragoza 104.
Single engine Zaragoza 104.
Atlantis, press to MECO.
Press to MECO.
That call from Capcom Jim Dutton to Commander Steve Frick indicating that should we lose a main engine now, we have enough velocity to reach nominal orbital cutoff targets. However, we're flying on 3 good main engines, all the other systems in good shape as well.
Your shutdown plan is nominal. You are go for the plus X, go for the pitch.
Copy, Atlantis copies, nominal shutdown plan, go for the plus X, go for the pitch.
Less than 2 minutes of powered flight remaining. Atlantis now 498 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, traveling 11,000 miles an hour. About
Atlantis, single engine press 104.
Atlantis copies, single engine press 104.
About 20 seconds from now, the main engines will once again be throttled down to limit the stress on the shuttle and its 7 crew members to that of 3 times the effect of gravity. Atlantis currently traveling at a speed of about 4 miles a second. Main engines now being throttled back. 7 minutes, 40 seconds into the flight. Atlantis now traveling 14,000 miles an hour, 675 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. As Atlantis enters its preliminary orbit, it will do so at a velocity of 17,500 miles an hour. 20 seconds of powered flight remaining. Booster officer confirms main engine cutoff, now standing by for the commands for external tank separation.
Atlantis, no action on the cabin DPDT at Seducer.
Copy, no action.
Spectacular view of Atlantis separating from its external tank. Atlantis now in its preliminary orbit. The Columbus module, Europe's new science center in space.
Nominal MECO, OHMS 1 is not required.
Nominal MECO, OHMS 1 not required. Thanks, MASH.